Whenever I create, I am quite literally astounded by what comes out of me or through me or by me. I don't know. I know that it's not me and that it's something that I'm channeling. But every time I create, every time I open my mouth, every time I let my fingers flow, every time I sing, move, create, cook, there's so many times where I'm just looking at the creation and experiencing it with such awe, in such awe. Like, did I really just say that? If I think about the conversation that I just had with my mom, did I really just say those things? Did they really just come out of me? Because I didn't even know I was like that or that I had those things in me. And I guess every time I create, I become more of somebody, more of maybe the person that I'm supposed to be. And creating really comes from trusting. So I trust myself in my conversation with my mom. I trust myself in the kitchen. I trust myself when I'm singing. I trust myself when I'm speaking. And I know that I trust myself very well when I'm writing. Because the more that I trust myself, the more I allow my body to take control and let my mind kind of take the back seat, because I can't create when I'm thinking because it's not me. But the more that I trust, the more I am astounded by my creativity. There are so many people in my life who embody this, who embody creating with the universe, because that's what happens when we trust. We literally move aside for the universe to then channel through us, right? And maybe this is where I am, and I literally move aside, and now here's just my energy, and the universe is channeling through this energy. And it really requires me to abandon all of my thoughts, all of my beliefs, all of my opinions even, and definitely my judgments. I literally leave everything at the door when I create. And I'm so glad that I do, because most of those thoughts and beliefs and opinions and judgments don't serve me. They don't help me. They don't give me the kind of life that I want to live. And I know they don't help me become the person that I'm meant to be. So I'm so grateful for creativity. And I'm so grateful that we are all vessels, if we choose to be, when we choose to be, and wherever we choose to be. And we're all vessels in different ways. If you think about the people in your life, my mother-in-law says something so beautiful. She says, every bite of food has somebody's name already written on it. This woman feeds anything and everything that will eat. Literally everything that moves. Dogs, ducks, animals, human beings, kids, adults, anybody, everybody. She will feed if they are willing to eat, if they have a stomach. And she fed me for 3 years of my life when I lived downstairs from her with her son. And she had no clue about the status of our relationship. She didn't know anything about who I was to him or our future. But she fed me every day. And her son never ate without me eating, without there also being a portion of food for me. And I wonder how many times that, because for much of those 3 years, I would often come and go, and I didn't live with her son permanently. And it was just her and her son who lived in that house. I wonder how many times that when I actually ate and I showed up there, how many times she actually shared her portion with me. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because her son is the exact same way. And if she hadn't shared her portion with me, he would have shared his. And my mother-in-law, I remember when I would thank her, first of all, I don't even think she remembers. Because when we experience flow, when we trust ourselves and we just show up, when we allow our bodies to do their thing, right? And we just trust in the moment and we trust in ourselves. I don't think we remember those times. I don't think we remember what we did or what was created or what we created or what came of it, because we're just living in the moment. And that's what trust does. But when I did try to thank her one time, I remember she said one thing. She said, and she was in the kitchen when I thanked her. She was cleaning up her kitchen, and I remember she was putting a towel on the railing of the oven. And I could remember, I think, that she was doing that. And she just said that, when I stand here, and she pointed to the stove where she would make rotis. She said that when I stand here, I think of you. And that's really all it took for her. But other than that, that was when I actually lived downstairs from her. But years later now, even when I try to thank her, she says every bite of food, has somebody's name already on it. And then I guess that she never ever takes credit. And that's what I've gotten the sense of from even trying to thank her or speak to her, is that she never takes any credit for the food that comes from the ground or the earth and ends up in somebody's belly, even if that's mine. She removes herself completely from the equation. And even when I try to thank her, she genuinely, not even refuses, but she just genuinely doesn't think or believe that she plays any role in the food ending up in someone's tummy, even though she's fed so many people all her life and so many animals, and she just doesn't see herself as playing any role in any process. And even when I tried to tell her, but Ma, it's your hands that prepare the food, it just doesn't register with her. She doesn't take any kind of credit, and she just doesn't see it that way. And it really got me thinking that wherever, and knowing, it got me knowing that wherever we remove ourselves from the equation, wherever we just show up and do and act and create and move aside for, right? We abandon our own thoughts and our own judgments and our own feelings, and we're just here to do. And wherever we do that, we literally co-create with the universe. That is the highest form of creating, when we become one with the universe and we remove all and any of our own identity. We remove ourselves completely. And I know that I experience this when I write. And I've been writing I think I've done that more than I've done anything else in my life, including speaking, including singing and all other forms of expression that I so love. Writing has been the thing that I started first and the thing that I have done the most in my life. And I have actually witnessed the state of my own mind through the years as I've written and attained more and more flow. And I remember times where if I hadn't written for a few days, then it's almost like that flow would, my writing would become a little stagnant. Like it would, my fingers wouldn't flow as freely, wouldn't move as fast. And again, and that's because, well, there's probably some judgment there, right? If it isn't just being rusty and not having done something in a while, in the large progression, year over year, of the progress in my writing and the progress in my flow and freedom of movement in my hands, has really been due to a decrease in my own judgment of the words that are coming through my fingers, the words that are coming through me. I have seen that the more and more I trust, that the less and less I have my own thoughts and insecurities and worries and judgments and even opinions about what I'm writing. I'm not here to judge. I'm only here. My only job is to create. My only job when I'm writing is to write. And I've realized the same thing in every other aspect of my life. When I'm speaking, when I'm communicating, that's all that I'm doing. That's my only job at that moment. And when I fully trust myself and when I allow my heart to go there where it might be afraid to go, when I do that consistently, then I experience flow. And every time I create, I become more of this human being that internally I always knew that I could be, but perhaps didn't know how I would become that person and what that person would look like, sound like, act like, write like, move like, dance like, be like. But it's every time I create that I get to experience that a little more and grow into that human being a little more. And I'm truly, truly grateful that I have people around me, that I've been able to witness people who really embody removing the self from the equation of life. Anything that you do, when you trust yourself, and the irony is that you're trusting yourself to do the work, to create, but at the same time you're abandoning your thoughts. You're leaving your thoughts and beliefs and judgments and opinions aside, at least for that time. And I know that that's so difficult to do. It's we cling. It's because we cling to all these things that we think are protecting ourselves and protecting our identity. But truly we have no identity. And we see that when we create, because I know that when I create and I look at what I've created, I know that it's not me. And I'm sure that if you create, you feel the same way too. That you can literally look at any creation, right? It doesn't have to be the Mona Lisa. It doesn't have to be some beautiful work that's celebrated, right, in history. It could be any work of creation that you look at and that you know that this wasn't a human being. Yes, it was, but it was a human being striving, reaching, creating with the universe. And in order for that human being to do that, the human being left the self at the door to creativity, at the door to creating. There is no identity, there is no self. You completely remove yourself from the outcome and even from the process. You just show up, and you know that when you do, you trust yourself that that's what you're meant to do at that time. And whatever happens, whatever the outcome is, isn't relevant. It doesn't matter. Because it's the process that you fall in love with. And when you fall in love with the process and you abandon your judgment and your fears and your thoughts about the process, the more you do that, the more you also abandon your fears and thoughts and judgments about the outcome and the creation, the actual creation. And then you also know that there is no end to the creation or creating, that it's just an endless process and you're already thinking about the next thing. Where in your life do you remove yourself from the equation? Is it when you make food for your kids or your family? Is it when you draw, when you paint, when you speak, when you move your body, when you sing, when you yodel? Where do you remove yourself? Is it when you write? Is it in conversation? Do more of that thing and show up consistently, because you already know what it's like to trust and create from that and share it with the world. And it's my goal that I'll create and I'll show up and I'll trust in more and more and more ways in my life. Because I think that's the mark of a great human being. The more a human being trusts, the more a human being lives a great life. Because a great life is just a bunch of great moments. And a great moment is just living in the moment, being here, trusting this moment. I love you. Go create. And when you do, you'll know that there is no you. There is no me. There's just the universe working through everybody. I'll see you.